We have heard some Democrats saying that they sort of agree with the president that Mr. Schumer caved.
Well, those Democrats mainly come from the left. Many of them want to run for president in 2020, and therefore they're catering to the base, which is what people running for president do in both parties. So I understand where they're coming from. I would say this wasn't the Democrats' finest hour. I can't imagine anybody disputing that. They didn't have a real plan. They didn't have a strategic plan. Once they entered the shutdown, they didn't seem to know where to go or what to do. They would have been better off not having the shutdown, because history tells us, at least modern history, recent history tells us that parties pushing for a government shutdown usually don't get what they want and often look bad doing it. So all in all, they shouldn't have done it. Hindsight's 2020. Everybody's going to move on. We'll see what happens in 3 weeks, and the election isn't until November.
Well, that was going to be a question. Is there any lasting effect going into the election, or is it so far off that whatever stumble they might have had here really won't affect their quest to take back the House or even conceivably the Senate?
This won't have the slightest effect as long as there isn't a series of government shutdowns that last for months, or even intermittent shutdowns that involve a few days here and a few days there, so that it continues to be in the headlines. If this was a one-off for 2018, almost no one is going to remember this in November. Maybe a few candidates will put it into TV ads. Probably most people watching will have to sit there and think what they're talking about. So, you know, we assume people remember everything heading into an election, and they don't.
That's really interesting. We do know that President Trump did stay out of the way largely during the negotiations this weekend. Was this the right decision when it comes to the optics for President Trump?
Well, that's a good question. If you ask the Republicans on Congress, and I talked to one of them about it, they were thrilled that somebody kept President Trump quiet. And the thinking there was that anything he said or did, even on Twitter really, but certainly in person, could have inflamed the situation and made it impossible to get the government open quickly. So it was better that he wasn't involved, and that teaches you a lesson about Donald Trump and this current White House, but also maybe they're learning a few things about controversies. We'll see.